Happy What We Watch Wednesday. It's time. We won't be wasting much time today. We're going to get right into it. This is the Paradise on Hulu Season 1 chat because Sterling already told us that we're getting Season 2. Very exciting. Very exciting. Don't be shy. Come on up to the stage. This is What We Watch. We are on YouTube. We are on TikTok. We are on Instagram. And of course, we're on X. And our app is coming. Honestly, I'm excited about this chat. You know, we've come from a long 4 years of Succession chats, Insecure chats, thousands and thousands of people joining us for the HBO blockbusters, the Hulus, the Netflix, all of the films and everything. And I think Paradise is going to be really exciting because um, I think it kind of encapsulated the post-apocalyptic world that a lot of us really kind of, you know, at least once in our lives, very recently have considered what it looks like. So I think it was just really great timing on the showrunners and everybody putting the show out on Hulu. So once again, I am Miss Picherino. Welcome to What We Watch. Happy What We Watch Wednesday. And I want to invite people on up. We're going to go bar for bar, episode for episode. But I know that episode 7 was a favorite. So I want to know what you guys thought about that. Come on up to the stage and talk to me. I see Justin, I see Mac, I see Abdurrahman. I don't know if I said that right. But I really enjoyed Sterling K. Brown most specifically as the lead of this show and a producer on this show. Sterling K. Brown, can you guys, any of you guys give me when Sterling K. Brown, like when you were exposed to Sterling K. Brown, like in your awareness? Is that something that y'all can tell me? Because I definitely, hold on one second. Because I definitely met him on This Is Us. And I'm not gonna lie, I had to hop off the bus for This Is Us bars. I had to hop off that bus, I think, after like season 2. It was really depressing. I cried a lot, but that just is, you know, that speaks more to who Sterling K. Brown is as an actor. And so I'm very, very excited about talking specifically about him and his character and how the show kind of really allowed him to shine. You know, my guy's been, I think Sterling K. Brown has been in the industry as long as I've been alive. But Sterling K. Brown, you know, with the Mandy Moores and the This Is Us of it all. So, welcome, co host Tej. Don't be shy. Come on up to the stage. This is What We Watch. This is not a podcast. You're not here to listen to me talk, although I love to talk. And I'm great at talking, and you're great at listening. But I want to hear your perspectives, and if you've watched the show, I want you tapped in. Tej, welcome to the stage. I know you're very, very excited about this chat.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited. We haven't really talked about Paradise, so I'm excited.
Yeah. So let's go first 2 episodes, Tej. I want to have a little structure because I know a lot of us want to get to episode 7 and 8, but I'm a screenwriter and a producer, and I'm very intentional about like what it looks like to make a TV show. So talk to me first about episodes 1 and 2. What locked me in specifically in the pilot was the cliffhanger at the end, of course. I like that. I'm gonna plant a seed for us because my co-host Tej understands where we're probably going to end up, but I'm going to plant a seed and say that this show locked me in because I could not predict that they were in paradise. This post-apocalyptic world. I did not predict that in the pilot episode. Hang on to that word, I did not predict. It's interesting how that theme kind of ran through the entire show. So I think that kind of got us locked in because after a while you're like, oh, they did say paradise. So like, when was the paradise gonna go? Like you have your little, Leonardo DiCaprio moment, like, paradise. I see. This is all manufactured. Tej, what kind of locked you in after the first couple of episodes? Because I think you're the one that. Oh no, did you? I think I told you to watch, or you had heard about it. But talk to me about the first couple of episodes for you.
First of all, the way obviously the big reveal at the end of the first episode is a pretty all timer in terms of shock value. But what really got me into it was the kind of whodunit of it all around the president. Like, you start the show and you see that our protagonist has a relationship with the president, although it looks like it's strained a bit. But all of a sudden the president is not just dead, but like brutally, brutally murdered. So I think I love a whodunit, and so that is a big part of what drew me into the show. On top of the fact that obviously Sterling is one of the best actors that we have, bar
Yeah,
none.
let's talk about it.
Um, and he's just super compelling as a guy to center the show around. And as we're meeting the characters, we're seeing everybody's personalities and the differences between and the kind of conflicts that may exist between the characters. And that's just they just did a really good job of setting it up. And so I think in that first couple episodes, those
What
that big shocker and the president being dead, but we don't know who did it. All that stuff is kind of what drew me into the show for sure.
what other whodunits do you really enjoy? And y'all come up to the stage. Don't be shy. What
I
other?
like a lot of whodunits. I love mystery
Yeah.
movies.
Okay.
I've been thinking a lot about Knives Out. Given the
Mhm.
way that Paradise ended, I've been thinking a lot about Knives Out
Correct.
and kind of how you present the whodunit to the audience who's trying to figure out exactly what's going on. But I like a whodunit, and a lot of shows obviously center around whodunit or what's actually going on here. And I think that
Right.
kind of mystery box, we are kind of in the. I guess there are a lot of mystery box shows on TV right now, and Paradise is one of those mystery boxes of what's actually happening, who is pulling the strings. We know Sinatra is probably not the nicest person, but is she actually responsible for killing the president? That
Yeah,
stuff
and
was like catnip for me.
right. And a couple of points there that you brought up, from a whodunit perspective, like, I think Knives Out, but I think in terms of like miniseries, television shows, or like shows with a few seasons, I think Only Murders in the Building. I think that Mystery, it was like Mystery Mansion or something like that. It's a TV show with Tiffany Haddish, and it was very good to where like each episode was centered around if you think it's this person. Someone, correct me, teach if you want to look it up, or anybody in the room, correct me and tweet me and let me know. I think it's like Mystery something, Mystery Mansion or whatever. But there, like to your point, Teach, there's a lot of whodunits. I think very specifically, um, this is more so like a post-apocalyptic show for me. So I was actually comparing it to, just from a structural effective standpoint, right? As like The Leftovers and Station 11 and The Last of Us and those kind of shows, strictly because there's this dystopia or this attempt at utopia that we're just like revealing all of the darkness. And so it's not like those shows at all to me, but it makes me think about like what feelings do I want to elicit on how everyone's acting at the end of the world or in a post-apocalyptic world. And then you add in the who done it for me. And so I'm not gonna lie, like by episode 3, was it just me? I didn't care who killed the president. Was that my bad? Like I had by the time episode 7 and 8 came out, I was like, it don't really matter to me. Hold on to that too. I'm like, this is more so about how Sterling is going to find out who Sinatra really is if he's going to go somewhere with this little new baddie that he has, where his wife is. Like the fact that the president, you know, was knocked the fuck out. I don't know, that just became so secondary and tertiary for me, which I think is actually speaks to how powerful the show is, because there was clearly, I mean, the first and second episodes were very clearly we'd find out who killed the president. And the next steps that we do after we watch those kind of shows is like try to figure out who did it. Like who did it? Like who do I think? And that didn't pop up as fast as I thought. Sterling K. Brown is so captivating. Everything about his storyline was so captivating to me that I was more so interested in like making sure he was, quote unquote exonerated. Like as long as he ain't kill him, as long as they don't get my boy, Xavier Collins, Then I'm good with it. Diner and the Dash, welcome to the stage. How did you feel? We're talking first 3 episodes because I know y'all want to get to episode 7 and 8.
Well, I think I was originally thrown off by you talking about it as a whodunit because I thought the same thing that you did.
Yeah, yeah.
Basically, by episode 3, it's like I'm trying to figure out like what happened to the world because like you kind of know there's a natural disaster, but you kind of also know there's like nuclear war stuff going on.
Eh,
But obviously, you don't actually figure out what that all is until later.
right.
And like, why are they there of all places? And
Yes.
so combined, and there's so few of them also.
Yeah.
So it's like it's much about finding out what's going on with the whole
Yes.
world as well as who killed the president, obviously.
Yeah, I was
uh
like, that was like BC plot for me. Who killed the president? I'm like, I don't
yeah, it was
know.
like,
Like,
well, I would like forget that he was dead for episodes because he'd be in so many flashbacks, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, he's dead.
Dinah, I'm glad you understand. I was the same way, Tej. But you were locked in on who killed the president. Were there any other like parts of
I
the
thought
show
we were
that
talking about the first episode. Like, you don't know it's a
first 2 episodes?
post-apocalyptic show until the end of the first episode. But obviously, yes, it becomes a sci-fi post-apocalyptic show after that. But I agree.
Yeah. But were you committed to like finding out who killed the president afterwards? Because I feel like you were.
Yes, I was. I was. That plot point really worked for me. But also, that's not the only thing that worked for me. Like the post-apocalyptic stuff also worked for me as well.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and kind of the interplay between who's on Xavier's side, who's not. Does
Yes.
Xavier understand who's around him, who's not? That stuff works to fill up, the middle of the season, and I enjoyed that as well. But if I'm being honest, I kind of felt like from the beginning it's got a couple filters on it, but I can always feel that like this is your standard CBS drama. We're
Mm,
looking for some kicks, we're looking for some, oh my god, that's a really shocking moment kind of thing.
mm.
Well, how good is our writing, how good is our dialogue, but we've got a really compelling star, we've got a show that looks good, and we've got some good needle drops, and like we've got a
Yes.
cast with a lot of chemistry. But I can always feel kind of that like procedural,
Hmm.
like big four network television kind of sheen on it. And I think, it's not that that's bad. That's enjoyable. Like that,
It's so
they made
successful
a
and
great
lovely. Yeah.
season of TV. But I kind of saw the seams of the show from the beginning outside of that big twist.
Yeah, and I can introduce it for you, and I want to welcome Robert to the stage. But when he talks about seams, guys, basically, like, have you ever bought like you know, a shirt that you really, really love, and it's not the best quality shirt in your closet, but it's a really great shirt, and you get so many compliments when you wear the shirt, and it fits nicely, but it's not your most expensive, most, kind of like best quality t-shirt or like button down shirt. I think that's where he's saying like the CBS drama coming in. Another comparison I can give you is basically like for me what I remember my first bouts of like network television were my parents kind of like filtering what I could and could not watch. I'm a very young girl, very young girl. Happy what we watch Wednesday. Thank you so much. But I feel like this show, if and when it gets to like specific network television, because I think there's like announcements that that's what it's going to be or whatever it already is or whatever. I think that this is the show that the older teens with their families can watch it with their parents, but then like they have a bedtime at like 9:30. So like, oh, you can watch this
Yeah,
part of the
that makes sense.
episode. You get what I'm saying? You can watch this episode. Okay, you can watch that one, but like maybe not episode 7. Maybe not episode 5, the Billy Pace episode. Maybe not those. Just make sure we're. So I get what you're saying. Like it wasn't too much cussing. I almost felt a little shocked when I did hear cussing. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like this is Hulu. We pay for this. There are ads at times, not for me. I'm not real with these ads. But and so yeah, so I definitely see that. But the seams is like I can see the seams of this shirt, but it doesn't make it a not great shirt. It's just like, oh, I see what we're doing here. There's a formula we're following. There's some boundaries that I can clearly see. Kind of like Paradise. Robert, welcome to the stage. Talk to me.
What's going on, people? What's going on? No, I'm with Tej on about how I was wrapped in the who done it of it all when it first happened. Like
Yeah.
I was very interested on who shot the president, like how's this going to unfold, and then the ending of episode one happened. It explained a much bigger world, and I'm like, what in the Truman Show is going on here? So I like the world building itself is what also drew me in, but
Yeah.
like the who done it was the first core that drew me into the show because I love a great mystery, a great thriller, who done it type thing, and then the larger sci-fi trappings got announced at the very end of the episode. And I'm like, oh, this is not what I thought the show was at all. So I'm
Right.
like, okay, so it was good. I still cared about it because I like James Marsden as an actor, so I
Me
like
too.
so I like him as an actor. So I still cared about his character, even though we were getting introduced into a much larger world and much larger conflict. And so, but yeah, I can see both sides of that argument. I like both of the whodunit and the larger sci-fi trappings of what Paradise became.
Yeah, because I think when we get to the middle of the season, like 3, 4, and 5, we kind of switched gears, did we not? We kind of went from world building, post apocalyptic, who done it, to like, okay, let's hone in specifically on how we got here, right? And that's a part of every who done it. That's a part of every post-apocalyptic. So I don't think anyone's wrong. It's just like what stuck out to you more, like what was at the forefront in your brain every time you were watching any of these episodes. What we watched, those of you in the audience, let me know. Like, give me a thumbs up if it was more post-apocalyptic, or a clap if it was more so, a who done it for you. Like you were really attached to who killed the president. Thumbs up for post-apocalyptic, clapping for who killed the president. And so, I mean, I think both of those things were very like present. But episodes 3, 4, and 5, we kind of shifted gears. TJ, you kind of felt even more of the seams in episodes 3, 4, 5. What kind of had you shift in those moments? Like, what was really, kind of showing and like really screaming at you for those? Because very briefly for me, I was like, genuinely, the foundation for being invested in a TV show is being invested in what happens to the characters. And I'm like, I want to know what happens to Sterling K. Brown, his two children, or Xavier Collins, his two children, and where his wife is at didn't really come until later, which we got that episode. And I was like, well, hopefully she's okay. And then they did a good job of bringing me back. But we got the background of Billy Pace, and we got a little bit of background of Sinatra, and we got a little bit of background of the therapist. And I was like, genuinely, the show did well in keeping me captivated, but I genuinely wasn't that interested. I wanted to know like what they did to my guy, and again, if he was going to be free, because I was just ready for Sinatra to take my boy down. So how did you feel about the middle of the season? Because I feel like they shifted gears.
I was enjoying it, but I feel like the a lot of times with the characters, the how we get this person in this place at this time for the plot to work was just like it was frustrating to me a bit. Like when the little girl just happened to find the iPad, like I'm like, okay, the daughter found the iPad. This is the presidential iPad. It's gonna be easy as fuck to get into the iPad. Or like, towards the end, when the killer, who we don't have to talk about yet, is sneaking into the house, it's like the killer is like got to go by basically one person. They put on the jacket, they kill the guy, and it's like boom, I have access to the president. I know he's going to step out at exactly this time onto the balcony. Like it just to me, it was just like, all right, like we're doing a lot to give you the big moment, but
Yeah.
unlike the first episode, it's impossible for me to watch and not see how they're setting everybody up in the position to get to where we have to get to at the end. Versus the
Yes.
first episode, you can't watch it that way because you don't even know what's going on yet. You don't even know the characters yet. But as you get to know the characters, you start to see, oh, this guy just happens to have this piece of information at this time, and so it was like I was still enjoying it. It was still enjoyable TV, but I couldn't help but notice sometimes like, okay, we're doing that. That's a little bit of convenience there, but that's because we need to push the plot forward.
Yeah, and again, this is what we watch. I am here to connect artists closer to their audiences, and and that opens discussion specifically. But fortunately or unfortunately, these are people's jobs. We're working, and in the hashtag industry, when I get greenlit for a season, and I kind of advertise it as, an 8 episode miniseries, I kind of have to take some liberties, right? Like, I kind of have to take some shortcuts in a way that you stay captivated, but that I don't leave you with a lot of open loops, that I don't like leave you with a lot of unanswered questions. And I think they did a great job, Dan Fogelman and team, because to me, again, the question for me, no disrespect, Mr. President, but I was like, I don't really care. Like, his wife don't like him. His kids barely like him. No shade, no tea, but like, whatever. Like, I really don't care who killed him. I want to know why he had to lead us into this, how he got selected. I don't know about y'all, but when the therapist came in and she was like, "Oh, I had to select 25,000 people," I said, "Oh, so you had some power here." Now I'm into like, okay, who told you? And then it's like, "Oh, Sinatra is the one that built it." I'm like, the question of who killed the president, which was like what drove the pilot for me, that became like question number 18 for me. I'm like, well, whatever. How did we get here? Is there going to be an uprising? And that gets us into, the very end of the show, but I don't want to, want to speed there yet. But like, those were the questions that I wanted to know. Like, who's really going to figure out, like, what we're doing here? Like, who's actually going to connect with the outside world, right? A friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, I think he's in here listening through another app, but he made a really great comparison. How many of you in the room like Silo on Apple TV? Just raise your hand if you like, make a little noise. The heart sign, the plus at the bottom. Who likes Silo? Okay. I watched 3 episodes of Silo. I was, okay, that's a whole nother conversation. But what I will say is my friend said that Paradise is Silo with amenities. So you got Silo and then you add some luxury and then you have Paradise. And I was like, you spitting. And so then I had to think, what made me want to finish Paradise quicker than Silo, even though I started Paradise like weeks later, it came out weeks later, right? Months later, actually. I think Silo's on season 2 or 3. And I was like, its main character, I'm extremely invested in. And so as long as you build every character storyline around how it affects Xavier Collins, Sterling K. Brown's character, I'm in. The building of the relationship with the president to Sterling K. Brown is why I didn't really care who killed him. Because you know what my guy said, episode 1 or 2? He said, "I'll sleep when you dead." I said, "You know what? Well, I'm on your side, Sterling. I'm with you. We both sleeping real good at night. I don't really care who killed you because you needed to die." So my journey through episode 8, I've been on his side. And to me, that's good. Go ahead, TJ.
Another really amazing decision that they made. Okay, I don't want to sound too critical of the show because it was a good season and I enjoyed the show. Marsden is like that is a superpower. Like that is another person to run your offense through when Sterling isn't on screen, and he's just so compelling. He's just so perfect in the role. He's so perfectly cast, and so having to build the show around these flashbacks is really smart because even though Marsden dies in the first episode, we get a lot of him, on the court for us, and we
Mhm.
need to, somebody to take those minutes, and he's just phenomenal. I just think he's perfectly cast. I thought he did a great job on the role.
Make him my. First of all, he looks like a president. Second of all, he's sexy, and he don't look like a president. Let me just sidebar here, y'all. I'm being very serious, but I think it's very important for our leaders to be sexy and hot. Okay, I think it's important. I think there's a war on beauty. TJ told me not to say this, but I'm going to say it. I think there's a war on beauty. I think there's a lot of issues. People have a real issue with beautiful, sexy people, and they don't want them to be leaders, and they very much haters. And I just really appreciate this show, like not shying away from the fact that we can have a cool, sexy, great actor guy as president, and he can have like these really in-depth moments with the characters. He can be kind. We can see how it got him shot and killed. Like this, it leaned into it really well for me. So yeah, Marsden was great, and I'm glad that we got a lot of them because it's important to have sexy people on your shows. Diner in the Dash, talk to me.
I actually raised my hand just to say I like Silo, but
Yeah.
uh, my I when we're talking about just minor critiques, I do think there were parts of the show that were almost like too predictable. Like my
Yes.
boy Billy really deserved better because like the second he says you can judge me as a person tomorrow, just let me be the kid's friend. tonight. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna be dead before tomorrow.
Everyone
Like,
at that
fuck.
point knows if you've watched 3 TV shows in your life, you know, oh, he's dead.
Yeah.
Anytime you're like, hey, I'll tell
Yeah.
you that big reveal tomorrow, you're not making it to tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yasin Bey,
Yeah.
talk to me. Tell me what's going on. How'd you feel? We're probably like at episode 5, 6 right now.
Oh, okay. I was still stuck on the pilot
Let's talk
because
about the pilot because that's good. That's good TV right there, baby.
I gotta say the switch up because I got like all right, well, from the jump I had no idea what the show was about. Like I came in late. The show had already aired like 6 episodes, and I just saw people talking about it. I'm like, I put it off. I was doing other things, catch up on Severance.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I like to think that I have a pretty good um ear and eye for like seeing twists coming. Oh, it's gonna be the butler, or oh yeah,
Right.
the ex-wife, oh she's pissed. But I did not see this twist coming at all. I thought it was a thriller, suspense, which I
Yes.
love. And then at the end of the episode, Sterling K. Brown, which props to him, love him as an actor, happy he's getting main title card and he's getting to do the
Yeah.
full range of action. He knows how to
Yes.
do comedy. I love that, getting a little bit of sarcasm going.
Yes.
They even had me going because in the beginning I thought Sinatra was the president's wife. The way that they right, because in the beginning of the first episode, like she's arguing with him on the patio. I didn't realize she was like that because you really didn't see the wife until the president was dead. I thought it was crazy. Um, but I do have to say, and I can't believe I'm saying this, so God might strike me dead with a bolt of lightning, but Tej is right. Tej is
All right.
right.
We have to shut this.
Okay,
There's things
we got to
going
shut
wrong
it
in this
down.
chat.
Shut it down. My phone's gonna explode. But he's right in this sense. I they really shoehorn, and a lot of I feel like a lot of shows are doing this now, but this show especially, they're making things so convenient. And I feel like they're like with the girl with the iPad and speeding up the plot line. And I feel like it's done because you've only got 8 episodes. This
Yes. It's
I will
business.
die. You're in the industry, so you can tell me better than me. I'm tertiary in the industry. I'm kind of like in the representation side, so I'm not in the industry.
Really, really.
But this is killing me. Seasons with singular episodes, 8 episodes. What happened to 12, 13 episodes so you can fully flesh out a storyline, so you can get to all of the secondary, third, tertiary characters and really get to all of the things that need to be said?
Hmm.
Instead, you're really shoehorning in Cal's dad, who's not getting as much time, like the secrecy of what that bookmark logo, and you're giving, yeah, I understand maybe the plot line of what happens in the last episode of the workers
No,
and
let's
everything.
not get there yet because we're gonna talk about it. But
Okay,
yeah.
but
Hmm.
you're not giving them the full breadth of that. The secret kind of like it's like
Hmm.
you're giving the carrot the whole the stick the whole season, and then episode 7 8 it's like boom. You're not. I would have liked a little bit more fleshing
I
out of
agree.
all the.
I
And
agree.
I got something to say about 7 and 8 too, but I'm gonna
Well,
go off.
let's wait
Oh,
on. Can I,
so
TJ? Can you tell me one of the pillars of what we watch? Because I want to talk about a relationship.
Everything is a romance.
Everything is a romance. Obviously, you guys know the very last piece of dialogue in this 8 episode show is "I'm coming, baby." Okay, this everything is a romance. What in the Shonda Rhimes is going on? Can we? I didn't like that. I didn't love it. Can we be honest? I didn't. I wasn't into our president having this somewhat affair with this character. It felt very flat to me. Like at first, I was like, "Oh, something might be going on here," but then it was like, "My wife hates me." Maybe give me more time with the wife and the president, right? So that I'm like interested and invested in him cheating with this random agent that I don't meet until 2 episodes later, anyways. I didn't understand it. And you know why I say the Shonda Rhimes of it all. Hopefully you guys know. Shout out to Scandal that changed the way we talk about television. Kind of why we're here today. Shout out to all of that. That worked for me because it was a 50,000 episodes and we fleshed out everything in every way. But to me, I don't think I think that was a layer that I was just as a black woman, um, as a TV writer, as a businesswoman, I was just like, we could have done a little bit better with this portion of it. Tej, talk to me. What do you think about
Wait, with which portion?
the portion regarding the president and his wife and his mistress?
Well, I mean, I didn't even realize at some point that you do meet the wife because you barely see the wife. I was fine with, I guess, the storyline of the president's mistress, but if I'm being honest, I thought that the actress that they picked to play the president's mistress struggled, especially early on. I think she kind of found her footing later in the show, but the early on, it was very distracting for me because, and it's not like I'm not trying to disrespect that actress. Like there are some you're basically on screen either with Sterling or with Marsden. That's not easy
Yeah,
to do. Like those guys radiate
money
out of the
shot.
screen. Like those guys completely take over a scene, and
Yeah,
so there were times I felt like in her scenes with Marsden, especially, she was getting a bit washed out, and then her scenes with Sterling are so different in tone because obviously one's romantic, and then the other one's
yes,
like, "I'm your boss, I'm gonna big dog you," and I just thought
yeah,
the kind of I don't and I also think that setting her up where you're only seeing her in scenes with those two people set her up for failure, whereas we probably need to see a couple more scenes of her by herself. But I guess that goes to Yassine's point, which is those 12, 13, 15 episode orders are that like that those days are gone. Those days are not coming back. And I think that's another like again, this is the I just saw an advertisement the other day that like Paradise is going on TV now. Like whoever owns the rights, whatever network is going to now play it on TV. So you can tell like this is the same guy that made This Is Us. That was on TV for 5-6 years, and people were
yeah.
really into it. So you can, and I also felt that too, where I could feel that the way that this guy cuts his shows and showcases his dialogue and uses flashbacks, it's like the same style. It's a
The same
very
exact
different
style.
show, but it's the same style. And I found myself really just paying attention to a style, which all these TV runners have. Like if you watch the Taylor Sheridan show,
So
you can tell his style. You
it's
can
the same
feel his
show.
style. You
It
can,
really
yeah,
is the same show over and over. But when you find something that sticks and works, you can continue to do it. Yeah, I think you get Dan Fogelman and Sterling K. Brown, you're gonna have a hit, right? Like we have to add that to the list of film and TV duos. You get the Robert De Niro's and really whoever that wasn't a good example because he's going body with whoever. But you get the Ryan Coogler and the Michael B. Jordan. You get the Dan Fogelman, the Sterling K. Brown, and you're cooking. Who else is it? Who's this most recent duo that I've noticed? Director, and there's so many of them. But I agree with you. Like the styling of This Is Us and Paradise is exactly the same. We have a lot of drama. We have a lot of subplots. We have a lot of mess around the whatever. But like to your point though, like I want to reiterate, I don't know that that storyline did much for me. The guy is dead, right? And so if that was important in a sense of trying to establish another potential person that killed him, I think that still fell flat for me too, right? Like I just wasn't into that from a character standpoint, from a storyline. That whole thing, I just preferred her in the back half after her and Sterling K. Brown were cool. That they was cooking. That was great. I love that storyline. We got it out the way. She's not it. She was just having a little sex. Who isn't having a little sex? People have sex. There's 25,000 of us in paradise. You know, everybody say the city is small. You have a lot of sex. There's a lot of sex going on here. So, like, I appreciate them kind of like doing that, but it didn't really work as like a potential person to kill him. Like, I knew off top it wasn't her. So I just feel like they should have just let her be the boss that her and Sterling K. Brown just never really kind of got into it. But then they were like cool again. So I was like, we could have just skipped the part where they weren't cool and she was having sex. Like it does that didn't even matter. Just
got to
make
fill
sure.
up the 8 episodes. So you have to have them like, oh, this is his ops. And then like, oh, it's not his ops anymore. We have to move the
Yeah,
chess pieces.
yeah. I mean, I guess right. But Yasin, go ahead. How'd you feel about the Shonda Rhimes of it all and kind of because everything is a romance, so there's going to be layers there.
and I don't think they gave us enough layers. It
Yeah,
a romance when you have romance in a story, it's supposed to be like an onion, and this was like an apple. You peel it once and it's over. There was no fleshing out of the story with
yeah,
Cal's wife.
yeah,
There
yeah,
was no fleshing out of the mistress, which, by the way, you're in a locked city with 25,000 people, and the special agent's in charge, having an affair with the president. Nobody knows, and it's allowed to go on. It's so not believable.
yeah.
Yeah,
I can do without it.
you do that. And Billy is sleeping with Jane. That's no one's noticing that. What's happening here? I'm It's like, does anybody know what's going on? There's a guy with a dog. Nobody knows he's got a dog. Does anybody know what's going on? Sinatra
Yo,
supposedly got Sinatra has the city on lock, but yet all of this is happening and nobody know
but
what is
Sinatra
happening.
don't have it on lock. That's why she
That's
got shot the way
crazy.
she did.
There's a
Thing is,
scene. There's a
yes,
scene in the finale where he's gonna go chase Sinatra. So the woman that was having an affair with the president's gonna go get his kids, and she
right.
says, "I would die before I let anything happen to those kids."
I'm not into
I
it.
look,
And I said, wait, I've never seen that woman in the room with the kids. I
right,
literally have
right,
never
right.
seen her interact with the kids. Why do I believe that she would risk her life for the kids? Like that that's just a line that you write.
Oh,
But there's no they didn't pay that off. That's crazy that she
right,
would say that.
right. And up until then, the trust factor with her and Xavier was
Yeah,
like up and down. Now you're gonna die for his kids. He's so right. And you know what?
yeah. No, absolutely
I
not.
I fell down to my knees like Dirk when Tej just said it's going to TV because and I'm not a fan of gratuitous, but I feel like when you watch shows that are on HBO, Showtime, that are on the streamers where you can get the full emotion of dialogue or
Yeah,
interaction between people, whether it's violent, whatever it is, the real dialogue.
yeah,
It feels restrained when it's put on NBC or CBS after you have to go back to that because you can't really show. And I'm not talking about just gratuitous nudity or gratuitous cursing like Quentin Tarantino, who just for he just has to put
not, not.
slurs
Well,
and
now why is Quentin in it? Go ahead.
but I feel like now I'm like, oh, now you're not going to get that full breath of and it wasn't unrestrained either because it's Hulu, but at least you got a little bit of how people would really react.
Right.
I think that's such a good point, and I think he's literally saying in a better way what I'm rubbing against when I first got into Paradise. There's a very big difference in today's day and age about what the streamers put on. There's really big difference in what the streamers put on and what the networks put on, because the
Right.
networks are like, we want you to watch 15, 20 episodes of this, and it's because you love these actors, you love these characters, and the plot is secondary, whereas the streamers are trying to put out press. And I know this is a generalization, but they're putting out more prestige stuff where it's like, we want big payoffs, we want slow builds, we want like we want something that we want you to put 30 hours in before we actually start to answer this question. And so because this show appeared on streaming, that's what you're thinking when you go click a show on Hulu. You're thinking it's going to be something like The Bear, but
Right.
this
Or
is
only
made
murders in the building.
by
Yeah.
one of the big four networks, and the model is different, not just the business model, but actually the way that our shows flow and what we're trying to do to capture the audience is different. And so
Yep.
it's weird to go on Hulu and then feel that like, oh, the CBS is trying to get me into this show, and I
Yep.
think I rubbed up against that.
Yeah.
A,
And
a
Robert, I'd
thousand
love for
percent.
you to kind of chime in here too. But I think just speaking from, a business standpoint and a very empathetic standpoint, because I'm an artist too. And I think this is less of a criticism of the actual work and the art that was created, and more so like what type of restraints, like I'm so curious to know what type of restraints were you given to make this show have to be at 8 episodes to get people to commit so that you could get a season two? Because I'm ecstatic that there is a season two. Yes, let's flesh some of this out. Let's go back and go into some of the characters and see what kind of bullshit they was doing. Because again, I can't stress this enough. The fact that you ended and you told me who the president killed, I'm still in. There's still so many other questions. What's going on here? And so I think that there might have been, I'm just curious how many conversations and how long, Dan Fogelman has been so open online about the creation of this show. I'd be willing to bet that there were more episodes that they were going to try to get to these networks and to these streaming services or whatever studio execs, and they had to like condense and they had to like trim.
I bet you season 2 is 10.
Yeah, and so that trimming is what you're feeling. Like we had to trim and then we had to hem. We had to trim, we had to tailor, we had to tailor, we had to tailor. And that's just the story of so many films and TV shows too. And I'm wondering if that's what it was. Because I was just like, on some of these, I was
Great
like,
point. Great point.
why did you introduce this? And then kind of like just, I'm like, oh, but y'all cooking in like so many different ways and firing off on just enough cylinders. And I'm like, I know there were other layers to this. Because when we get into episode 7 and 8, it's going to sound like we're being harsh. We're not being harsh. Loved this
We're not
season.
gonna be harsh about 7, but
Mm.
I think that's such a good point because I
Right.
could feel like to me I could feel. Do you remember when in the first episode they have this whole thing about the kid is named after James and the Giant Peach, right? They have this
I
whole
loved
little.
that.
Yes, that's good,
We
but
never,
you could tell
cherry.
that was a leftover from a storyline, that larger storyline, because the son really doesn't play a role in the show. The
yeah,
son doesn't have a storyline, but it feels like that was a connective tissue to a
yeah.
storyline that was in the show that got removed, but that line stayed in the show.
The
And
inequity
the
between. Oh, go ahead.
and the journey with that story. Obviously, we did get the payoff, which was like, I love my wife and I'm close to my family. But there was a little bit more for him to be saying that in that moment and choosing to show that to us with the president. I want to let Robert speak first and then you, Yasin, go ahead.
Um,
Robert, what are you thinking?
Well, yeah, I definitely feel like when about the James and the Giant Peach thing. I think the wife was supposed to be like a bigger role in season 1, but they were only
Mm-hmm.
guaranteed a certain amount of episodes, and they weren't
Yep.
sure if they were going to get a season 2. So they had to wrap up everything in a neat bow just in case they didn't get a second season. So
Yep.
doing that because it's one of the rare shows where it's a mystery where every major question was solved, but then at the end they give you more to bring you back in for a second season. So it's one of those
Yep.
things where they know they had to knock the first season out of the park, but still tease a second season just in case. So I feel like, especially with how we have all these streamers, we have these competing companies, still have traditional TV. Then you have the TikTok of it all that's also grabbing a lot of viewers, YouTube, things like that.
Yes.
You're
What can I
competing.
clip
Yeah.
and put out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're competing against a lot of different mediums to get people's attention. And so sometimes, the traditional model of TV where they used to do 22, 23 episodes, people don't really like that anymore because, at least 8 of those episodes were considered filler, and where 14 or 15 were considered true actual television that moved the plot forward. So there's certain, restrictions that traditional TV did that streamers are just like, let's get to the point. Let's get to the point. Let's get to the point. No filler
Right.
episodes. We only have 8. Let's get to the meat of the story and let's go. And that's kind of how I
Yep.
feel this was with Paradise.
Trim, trim, lean, lean, lean. Let's get the story out. Okay, you want your little James and Giant Peach dialogue? Let's get it out the way. How does that relate to
Right.
everything? Okay, cool. He loves his wife. Cool. That matters later.
Yeah.
If we let it matter later,
I
right?
feel like that might be
And
a plot point in season 2.
oh my gosh, for sure, right? Like, let's get into the kids because I am again the connective tissue to the rest of the characters is because they're Sterling K. Brown's kids. I ain't gonna lie, fuck them kids. I didn't really care about them kids. When they said that Presley was gonna die, I said, "Well, child, I guess you gotta die, child."
All right, Michael
I said,
Jordan.
"Well, child."
Presley would have been dead because I would have shot Sinatra as soon as I walked in that bitch. Presley would
I
have
would.
just been gone. R.I.P.
I
Presley.
stopped.
I'm sorry.
I stopped caring about the kid when I realized she was named after Elvis Presley. Fuck Elvis. Fuck who the fuck is Elvis? Are you kidding me? That grifter,
Look, I ain't gonna lie to you.
Elvis.
Them kids ate down in their
No, she.
8 little scenes. They did
She's a good actress.
fantastic
She is a good actress, but first of
because
all, yeah,
go ahead.
the inequity I felt between the two kids. The boy got no screen
Nothing.
time, no plot points, zero. You obviously Robert was talking about the cherry and the peach story was like a
Yeah,
on the cutting room floor, and he's right about filler episodes in the past with traditional linear TV, 22 episodes to 24, cutting it. Yeah, agreed. But cutting it from 24, 22 to 8, OD. Can I get 11 or 12? 50%? Is that
exactly.
okay?
Give these
Is
people
that
some
okay?
time to cook.
It, yeah, let me marinate a little bit. I don't want to just put the
Let them
steak right on the
cook.
grill. Yeah. But
It's the same exact criticism that House of the Dragon season 2 got.
oh, don't get me into that.
Let
I
these
was
people
fighting.
cook, man. What is
I was
going on? Let these people cook. But we're
more
gonna keep
dragons,
watching
not
it.
enough
So,
dragons. But the one
huh?
thing I
What'd you
want to
say?
say that you were right about
Yeah.
is what they did really well is that they made the death of the president, even though the reveal not the most important. They
Yes.
made
For
several
me.
Yes, and that was something that I did find, that if that was the only thing you cared about, then at this point the rest of the series would be sort of like,
Yeah.
who cares? Because we've seen dystopian shows where the population is told one thing and they find out they're being lied to, and the surface really isn't radioactive, or there really isn't the propaganda is this or that. So we've had that kind of storyline before, but this has a little bit of a different layer to it, which thankfully it has, because if it didn't, and all you had was, like you said, the president dying, we'd be like, where are we?
What are we doing here?
What are
Okay,
we
I
doing?
don't care about his mistress, respectfully. Yeah, fuck them kids. I don't, perfect segue into talking about specifically, TJ, I know you're gonna get your bars off. Just hold on a second. We have to do episode 7 and 8 separately. But just kind of going into the 7 and 8 of it all, I think that I want to celebrate this show very specifically from the post-apocalyptic whodunit, because you got to realize, like, if we step back for a second, generally speaking, what you're kind of like trying to make sure is that there's a justice that's served. And generally, like, overall, when we're talking about these TV shows and these movies, we don't really care that justice is served to a leader, to a white man in power, right? Like, Korean film is always going to show you kind of how capitalism and how class kind of affects the lower class, right? But this show did such a good job that you're invested in the life of the president, which, I mean, that's why you have all the detail and security detail, because people be trying to kill you. It's kind of what it is. And then, like, the right hand man, the president's favorite guy, who gets past all of the security clearance and gets all of the access to Versailles and gets all of the passes and has all, oh my gosh. So you're actually like really invested with people that are not at the bottom of the totem pole. And so that's a very unique approach for a TV show. Like, how do you get me roped in to care what happens to the guy who is the most protected and has the most power and has the most, like, money or whatever, in the case may be? How do I care so much about Sinatra? And, like, there's 20, what, 4,998 other people here, according to the therapist. And, like, I didn't really care what happened to them, which is kind of a little bit why
Well,
episode 8, a little bit
did you
why
care what happened to Sinatra? Because I think that I haven't said her name yet, but Nicholson is she's phenomenal. Like
she
having
did.
those three people be the center of your show, it just means that every time, like
I'm
that
saying
means
we did care. We did care about the leaders more so than the people being
oh,
affected
that's
by the
true.
leaders. You get
They'll
what I'm
open that
saying?
up in season 2. We'll meet more of the citizens.
Yeah, exactly. But in this season, as we're talking about this season, I think that's so impressive because generally in post-apocalyptic shows, it's the Last of Us. It's like, oh, how is this poor guy and his daughter gonna make it through? How are these lower level, lower class, not that much access, gonna use their resources to kind of climb to the top and survive? Whereas these people have all the resources, and there's just a lot of fucked up shit happening. So it's really just like reality TV mess drama amongst the elite class in this paradise. And I thought that was very unique. I thought that was very impressive. And a little bit why episode 8 kind of threw me off a little bit. I loved this season, but it just threw me off a little bit. I could tell we probably had a little bit more going. I know there was stuff trimmed
Don't go to
because
8 yet. Can we talk about 7 a little
let's talk
bit?
about 7, because 7 is where I saw us be united, and that's good. I'm glad we were united on episode 7. I'm glad y'all know ball. I'm glad y'all know what great, fantastic, perfect television is, led by a veteran in the game like Sterling motherfucking K. Brown. I'm really glad we're here. Teach, talk to me about episode 7.
Well, first of all, the pacing of the episode and like the backbeat of the episode, it's just so tense for the entire hour. Obviously, we've heard a lot about the events that led up to them ending up in paradise, but we haven't seen it. So you save that reveal for this whole episode, just going to be insanity. It's going to be niggas getting shot on the White House lawn. It's going to be lit. It's going to be crazy, right? And so you have this amazing structure for an episode, and you really built up to it because we all had to spend 6 hours to get prepared to watch their big episode, which is going to be look at the cool shit that we put together, look at that we can do, and having Marsden, Sterling, and Nicholson as the three leads of this show, like which means that there's always one of them on screen. Pretty much, it's just there's only so bad your show could be if those three are the people, because they take it seriously, they're committed to it, and they're all very invested in it, and they're doing incredible work across episode 7. I just thought that it was one of the best episodes of TV that I've seen, and it felt like all whatever my quibbles were with the first 6 episodes, whatever times I felt like oh grown, it was worth it because then you get something like episode 7, and it's like this is television.
Oh, we
This
cooking.
we're cooking fast. People are on the edge of their seats, and like that is an incredible episode of television. I really enjoyed it.
We got romance, we got love, we got tension, we got people with guns. You know what I mean? We got challenging the elite class, right? Like that's what we got in episode. That's exactly what I'm talking about. We finally got like the usual, the standard, like, oh, now y'all are frantic. Now y'all are running around, right? And so episode 7 was just so much fun because it was like, oh shit, like someone help my guy. Like it was that whole, to me that whole episode was just so much of Sterling K. Brown as Xavier Collins that I was like, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I came to watch Paradise on Hulu for. Episode 7 is why I came here. Episode 1 got me in the room, the pilot got me in the room. Episode 7 is why I stayed here. That's why I stayed here. Diner in the Dash, talk to me.
I agree just about it being a fantastic hour of television. And it like and as we mentioned, like talking about the middle episodes, they were stringing us along like well enough,
Yeah.
but all of the events of episode 7 had been being alluded to like the whole time,
Yep.
and you're like, are they going to deliver? Like, is this going to deliver something good? And it's like,
And it
oh my
did.
god, like the uncertainty of the whole episode on all fronts of all the time, like the way it was, the score, like
Yeah.
the way it was paced and went back and forth where they different were, and even when they were like when the volcano went off in Antarctica and they thought they had like X amount of hours, and then we're like, actually no, like Washington D.C. is going to be underwater in like 4 hours
It
or
was
something like
cooking,
that.
boy.
Like
It
what
was
the
really
fuck?
cooking.
Yeah, and it was just like what, and the fact that they had the balls to reveal his wife was still alive at the end of this episode instead of waiting until the finale, I thought was awesome. Like chef's kiss.
I'm glad you
Like
said that. I'm glad you said
draw
that.
because they've like that's the running theme of all of these streaming shows is they don't tell you what the hook is going to be for season 2 that you got to wait for until
Yep.
like the last possible second,
To like,
and they
yep.
gave us a whole week and another hour of the show to like ruminate on. Like, all right, his
Man.
wife's alive. Like, what are we gonna fucking do now?
Man. And shout out to the wife. Please, someone find this
Yeah,
character for me. What a phenomenal actress. Like, in those very short moments in the time that we spent with her, I'm like, yeah, she needs to be saved. Is he saving her? What's going on? Please, someone do something. Like,
I got a
please,
beef with that. I got a beef with that.
you got a beef with the wife?
No, no, I thought the wife was did a phenomenal job in her scenes. I thought she was great, but it made me think: is the reason why the wife was cast in that role and the president's mistress was cast in the other role, is it because the wife is going to be a lot of the offense in season 2 and we had to save her? Remember when in Dune 1 where Zendaya's in the movie but she's in the movie like in the
For
last
three and a
three
half
minutes
seconds?
It
Yes.
felt like that's what we did with the wife in this season, and I thought that this season, while a good season,
Okay. Yeah.
was hurt by a certain percentage by not having the wife more on screen because I thought
Yeah.
she was great. I thought
Was
she was
cooking
great.
with Sterling. Yes. That was such good chemistry. I live for that type of romantic chemistry on screen. I'm so obsessed with it. And it was like there was no sex involved. You know how I am. Give me past lives type of romance. Give me the tension. Like when you're talking about tension and uncertainty, there was tension and uncertainty in their relationship too, you know? The other thing that episode 7 did really well to me, we've mentioned so many things, who done it, post-apocalyptic, mystery, this, that, and the third. But episode 7 is a disaster movie. And we all love a disaster movie. Okay, we love a Titanic. We love okay, well, I'm gonna speak for myself. I love every single shark movie ever made. Oh my gosh, everyone's gonna die because they can't stay out of the ocean. Why can't you stay out of the ocean? And so it very much gave like the reason why I think it was so profound and so powerful and so effective and like drawing us in is because you can see yourselves, you ask the question, the one question, what would I do in this situation? You know, similar to the
I would tell
parallel
my
to,
wife that she's not going to Atlanta, and I would make sure she didn't go to Atlanta. They really came for Xavier in episode 7 because he was wrong about the blaming the president for this whole shit. Xavier did not handle that shit right at all when he
Not at
let his
all.
wife leave. He
can
did.
we
Come
talk
on,
about
bro.
it? Can we
He
talk
has to
about
put it.
it?
He needed to put his foot down one time.
I knew for a fact when they said, "Sir, my wife hasn't been wrong in 20 years."
She
I said,
hasn't
"All right,
listened to me in 20 years. She don't
listen,
listen to me.
she hasn't listened to me in 20 years." I said, "All right, he gonna be fucking annoying as hell when he's supposed to tell her to save her life. He not gonna have the energy for it, but you have the energy to jump in front of that president to save his life. I have a real problem with it, Xavier. I have beef with you, Xavier Collins, if you're watching. So you can jump in front of the president to do your job, but you can't tell your wife and of your two children to not go to Atlanta. So I hear you. That just shows how powerful
He didn't
women
even
are.
bring up the fact that the reason he's telling her to stay is because of something he heard from the president. He didn't even mention that. That's insane.
It's like, so here's my thing. Part of it is, okay, yeah, when a black woman has her mindset, so I couldn't even be mad. I'm like, I'm black and Latina. You're not convincing me of a damn thing. I saw all the men and their husbands and all the single men, like, I would have made my wife. I'm like, yeah, y'all nah. They kind of had this
She
one
wouldn't
right.
have had car keys. She wouldn't have had a phone. She would not have left the city on my watch. You don't have to agree, but now I'm about to punch holes in your tires. I'm gonna make sure you miss that flight. I'm gonna make sure.
I'm gonna pay off the taxi driver. I'm gonna make sure you ain't got nothing in your luggage. Like, I'm gonna make it a very inconvenient time. And so yeah, I was just like, Xavier. And so I put up this tweet up there because I just saw too many conversations about Cal. And I was like, guys, let's be honest. The reason why y'all's monogamous relationships be the way they are is because of y'all. It ain't got nothing to do with Cal. It ain't got nothing to do with the president, okay? The president said what needed to be said. He's just a guy being a dude. He was doing his best, all right? It's not just your family he has to care about. It's his and about 15,000 other families, okay?
He
He
gave
told
you
you
all the information he
he
had to
told
give
you to
you
keep
for
his
your
wife,
ass
your
to
wife.
take action.
You over there grinning and smiling, talking about, oh, she's never listened to me. Well, it's about time you changed that in 20 years. I think 20 years is, maybe you changed that because you done heard a little bit about Versailles. You done heard a little bit about the tsunami. I'm going to need Xavier Collins. You don't have to eat that one. That's between you and Terry. The president ain't got nothing to do with that. I won't hear it. I
Then he
won't.
told the president, "I can't wait till you die." That's crazy. This is your fault. This is not the president's fault.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, mm-mm. So I need to see that. I need to see. I don't care if it's season 3 or 4. I need to see them have that conversation because the president dead now, so we can't have a conversation with him. I need Xavier and Terry's relationship to significantly improve because now you out in the wilderness, bewildered in the wilderness, because you and your husband ain't like this. That's a problem, and we're not gonna blame nobody else for y'all's issues and y'all's relationships. Okay, Yassine Bey, talk to me, because I mean, there's nothing to debate here. It's Xavier and Terry.
Okay. First off, she's a phenomenal actress, and she acted her ass off in the scenes at the school when the
Oh
girl was. That was.
yes,
Give me more of that.
yes,
Okay.
She was cooking.
She was cooking with grease. She was lighting those rich, white, completely brainless, and out to lunch parents, cooking them.
right.
More of that. Okay, here's what I'm going to say. Xavier is the kind of guy who goes into a club and he needs a woman to walk up to him and say, I want to fuck you. He reads no body language because the president was telling him everything he needed to know, but he
Mm-hmm.
was mad because he didn't literally say, Versailles. The guy was in the middle of a joint chiefs meeting in the Oval Office where he was given full clearance and he doesn't tell his wife about it. Hey, honey, guess what happened at work today? At some point, there's going to be a catastrophic ending to the world. Don't go and travel for work. No, I'm going to let you travel, not knowing when this is going to happen. It's insane.
It's
It's li-
insane.
it's literally. You are right. Black women, Latina women, you can't tell them stuff. But honey, the world might be ending. This is something you win an argument over.
It is literally like I can see a comedy special on this.
It's
The
it's
only way you're going to get me to stop is if you tell me that the world is ending.
right,
Then I
right.
might not get on this plane. That's probably the only thing you can tell me.
He's mad at the president for not giving him like literally line for line, but he doesn't even pick up on. I mean, he's a very perceptive. See,
That's his problem.
sometimes I'm a stick. Sometimes I'm a really nitpicker for plot holes. This is a big plot hole for me because the entire series, Xavier is very calculating, very shrewd, intelligent. and this comes across as not like the character at all.
I'm gonna
It's,
tell you what it is. Y'all get weak for your wifey,
I
but this is the
understand,
wrong time to
but you
be
wanted to
weak.
live. You wanted to live. You got the
Right.
plans for the you. Hey, you planned for the children. Children stick by Jeremy Bradford. We haven't even talked about that kid, by the way. Unbelievable. Uh,
Truly.
yeah, plan for the kids. Stay with the president's son. Get on the plane. You'll be. He's got that wrapped up.
Yep.
One thing I'll just leave with this. He has poor eyesight, so he can't be a pilot. But he's has good enough eyesight to be a Secret Service agent, the number one body to the president. I don't get that.
Taking bullets for him, mind you.
And your bullet through, but it can't fly. Delta.
He can't fly, and he can't keep his wife at home. I mean, you know what? This is just really an indictment on y'all. I'm glad y'all are saying what y'all need to say on the internet, and I hope that that's true. I hope y'all have a little bit of power in your relationships to protect your wives, because it's not looking good for y'all. Xavier's not making y'all look great. Xavier is not y'all spokesperson right now. He's good at his job, and that's about it, really. And I think they did a good job. You know, I don't know if I agree fully that there's plot holes. I think I think it made sense, right? Like all of your protagonists, all of your heroes, they have this kind of fucking annoying Achilles heel, right? To where like you're like, why are you so great at everything? What is your what you know, we build characters when we're building TV shows and we say like what is their one like failure, weakness, or blind spot? And I think it really is just like knowing when to be on your game as far as serving the president versus being like use common sense for 2.5 seconds. You always in, you know, follow the rules ass mode. And I know I'm right about this because they showed it with his father. You have a real issue with like rule following and safety with the things that you do. So much so that like you were able to get your father completely off of something that he wanted, but you couldn't get your wife to not go to a thing, right? And so it's just very interesting, like his relationship with his family versus like what he finds to be Secret Service, protocol, process, you know, information, rules, like that kind of thing, classified information. Like he's very much that kind of guy, and he forgets that like establishing and building relationships interpersonally outside of work are also important, and like maybe making sure your wife stays for her little bullshit, you know, business trip to Atlanta. You got to tell her it's bullshit. You know, you got to be like, hey babe, you don't tell her it's bullshit, actually that's going to be completely wrong, but tell her, hey babe, like they're sending you off and it doesn't feel right. And I feel like I don't know who's telling you to that insists on doing it, but this is not going to go the way you think it is. The president, you know, I work for the president. Like the president is saying too much stuff. You need to listen to me. You will be mad up until the shit hits the fan, and there's this catastrophic event. I don't know what it is. I can't say anymore. I'm not having this conversation with you. You are not getting on that plane. I will do everything in my power to stop you from getting on that plane. I don't need the president, Cal. The whole conversation around Cal even being remotely responsible is crazy to me. Cal said we need to be saying, hey, you might want to keep your wife at home. Like, to me, that sounded low-key like a dirty Mac. I'm doing that regardless. Because, like, what did you just say to me? Where you, what you mean? I need to keep my wife at home. You know what? She do need to stay home. You know what? You're right. She is going to stay home. So, Tej, take us into episode 8. Because, okay, wait. Can we talk about Jane real quick? Another, I didn't see it coming, and I'm always see it coming. I didn't
She
see it
must be
coming
a
until,
Cancer because she crazy.
now, why are we in it? Why are cancers in it? Okay, true. I definitely, so this show clocked me twice. I didn't appreciate it. I'm a Cancer. I am. July 2nd is my birthday. Please give me gifts and everything. I take them early as well. Um, First of all, it clocked me when the wife was yelling at them, that white, rich, you know, disconnected, stupid family protecting their child by shitting on their child. Um, you know, when people ask like, oh, who's the friend in the friend group that's always like fighting and causing a scene? And if like you can't think of it, it's you. That's what I felt when I watched that scene. I was like, damn, she's like really cringe, but she's right. I'm like, damn, do I? And I thought about it and I said, oh my God, that's how I would be in this situation. And like they just developed such a great like tension and like awkwardness around this black mother protecting her black child in a very like it was encapsulated very well. It's like, hold on now. We're not gonna do this, but you could also like relate to Sterling K. Brown's character again to like, babe, we ain't gotta do this here. We ain't got to do this here. No one's in trouble. Let's just figure it out. But like she was spitting, and I felt attacked because I was like I would be that exact same. But now I see from a different perspective how my husband or everybody else might be like, can someone like calm this girl down? Can we just calm down? Secondly, Jane killing her boyfriend. I'm into it. That's what y'all ass get. But how did y'all feel about that? Because Billy,
was very predictable. Once he said, "You're gonna have to send the biggest motherfucker you got,"
Yeah.
and then the next scene is in an interior scene with him and Jane. I was like, "Oh, he's dead as hell." Like that, it's over. It's
he's
done.
cooked. He's cooked. I didn't see it coming until it was happening. I was like, why is she talking about this is your food and coke? She don't know how to cook. She don't love that man like that. I knew that already. She just happy to be in a relationship because it's only 25,000 people in here. Like she really ain't got no choice. So as soon as she said like, oh yeah, you can drink, I said, oh nah, this is the biggest. The biggest is like the person closest to you. But I didn't know before that Jane might have been working with Sinatra. Like if y'all saw that, y'all are really good because I did not see that coming. Because I thought Jane and Billy were gonna get cooked for having sex on the job. Which to your point, Yassine Bey, you're right. Like Sinatra really ain't had this together. She didn't think this through.
No,
Because
I
it's a lot going on in your little bunker or your little silo with amenities that you didn't know about. Go ahead.
from episode one when they passed that little piece of paper or hard drive together when the president was first the crime scene. You thought that they were two peas in a pod. At that point, you, at least for me, I'm thinking Jane has been a sleeper agent for Sinatra this whole time, and that she
Really?
really it feels like she was with Billy almost like as like a check because you're seeing that Sinatra. I don't know if Sinatra had this planned out, but it kind of feels like well she's using. You could see what Billy was used for to go out into the outside of the bunker, take
Mm,
out the four explorers because they can't let the population know what's really going on, and
right.
so I guess she's telling them well, you think you're the only killer I have? So it makes you think, well,
Mm,
Has Jane been keeping an eye on him just in case he goes rogue and doesn't listen to
mm.
her orders? So,
I don't
but
know.
that
They
was
got my ass. I
I
thought
they got me
Billy.
too. I did not see that coming one bit at all, no doubt.
I didn't. I thought Billy was a sweet, sweet guy.
Well,
When he
wait,
was
wait,
with
wait,
that.
wait, 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 wait.
Look, I don't know,
Wait,
guys. They
wait, wait,
got
wait,
me.
wait.
I
I
liked
was
Billy
with
too.
you.
I said, oh no, I like
I
Billy.
was riding with you the whole episode. Billy is a Billy is a terrible human being. I, I mean,
Look, episode to up until the Billy Pace episode. I see. I was like, they would have gotten Billy would have
Billy
definitely got my
is a
ass.
horrible. Look, is he trying to be a reformed man?
Yeah.
I'll give him credit for doing right, but he's done terrible things.
So we got 10 minutes left.
Billy pa- new series Billy Pace Born Again.
That's what I like. I would watch that. He was a great actor too. I didn't see the Jane thing coming. You know, small, beady, big beady eyed. They cast her perfectly. I was like, oh shit, they got her ass. She's the one. Like the best place to
That's
hide your assassins is in plain sight. Yep, that makes sense.
and people don't look at the miniature size. But one thing I will say is the casting on this series was epic, down
Epic.
to Xavier's dad.
Yep,
Um, I
yep.
mean, just all the casting beats were just they really did their thing on hitting that mark. Well done.
I agree. I fully agree. Until episode 8. Um, let's talk about episode 8. Episode 7 was great. Episode 1 was second in line if I'm ranking. Episode 8, I don't know. Maybe it just shouldn't have followed such a fantastic, perfect episode. Very much just transition into season 2 vibes for me. Y'all love the finale. Uh, Teach, I want you to open up the discussion for me because I'm really just gonna piggyback off of, because you know me. You were watching the show and you were like, I know Monique doesn't like this because I know Monique.
So I will give them credit for one thing. So you open up this, the cold open you get is establishing that there are these people that built paradise, right? We haven't met them. We haven't seen, we don't know much about how paradise is actually physically built. We meet this white man who has this great friendship with this black man, which I think is an intentional choice. And then
Yes.
that black man is wronged by the powers that be that built paradise, and also these people aren't even going to be let into paradise, and so then you give him motive, and you start the episode like that, and I go, oh no, like I hate that. I think that's a cheap trick because what everybody wants, whether they'll admit it or not, is they want their guests to be right or wrong, but they want it to be one of the characters. If you enter the whodunit part,
Yes.
you have to make, there's a moment where the librarian hits Sterling over the head and they pan up and he's like a dramatic shot and you see him behind Sterling, but that face is unrecognizable. So then he says, you don't recognize me, and they're playing with the audience, but they're like, no, we don't recognize you because we saw you for 2 seconds and we knew you were immediately going to be arrested because you literally tried to kill the president in episode 7. We don't remember your face, we don't remember anything about you, we assume you were in jail. So when you do the cold open and then you lead up to the fact that this is the man who tried to kill the president the first time, I let out a big sigh of relief because I was like, oh, they're not going to pin the president's death on this guy. This
Thank
guy's
God.
just the guy who tried to kill him the first time. Big mood. It's going to be one of our characters. It's going to be the son. It's going to be somebody we know.
Okay, let me
And
jump.
then
Let me jump in
go
double
ahead.
dutch here. Let me jump in, right? Because this is why the only reason episode 8 I wasn't mad that y'all loved it is because, and what did you ask me right before the episode started, teacher? You said, okay, are you going to give me your theory on who killed the president? And I literally, I promise y'all, what we watched was Happy What We Watched Wednesday. I said, I haven't thought about who killed the president in the last 3 episodes. I don't really care. I want to know if Sterling K. Brown and his wife gonna be okay, and if my guy's gonna end up, getting his revenge on Sinatra, and if Sinatra's gonna get exposed, and if these people gonna see if they're being lied to, and try to figure out like that explosive and build that world around this, silo with amenities. But then the cold open was like, no, Monique, we're going to tell you who's trying to kill the president or did kill the president. And I was like, all right, fine. The thing about a whodunit is it's when you say cheap trick, did you use that term already, TJ?
Yeah, I didn't use it in the space, but I used it on. I tweeted it.
Okay. Um, I don't even want to be too harsh. I get it. There's a mystery. You open the show with this handsome, beautiful, wonderful actress and character, like that's powerful, that like it matters a lot who killed the president, and so we have to answer that question. But as audience members, there's a journey that we're supposed to be on, and it's trying to figure out, and as we talk amongst ourselves and in our groups and at home over after we marinate a week until the next episode, who did it, right? Who are my theories? Who are my people that I think did this? Or did I think that someone puppeteered, ventriloquist, and ordered someone else to kill? The problem with that I had with this was that, yes, you showed me the killer before, but Knives Out does it well, right? Only Murders in the Building does it well. Sixth Sense does it well. Shout out to M. Night. I know y'all hate. It is what it is. But if it feels very, very much like, I know there was some trimming, there's something happened, because you can't just try to get me to be invested with this new character that is the solution for the pilot of this episode. I just want to jump in and say that when we're talking about like why this didn't work for us, if we're honing in on the fact that you started this show on a who done it, and I'm cluing and I'm thinking and I'm talking to Tej and I'm talking to Robert, I'm talking to Diane in the Dash, and we're going to find out who killed the president. If that's what I'm watching this show for, go ahead, Tej. I want you to jump back in.
So, as we start to meet this new character, and it's always a bad. I just think even if you're doing it this way, it's always bad form to do the. We have to show you the background so that we are going to know who the killer is, because now we're meeting this character for the first time, really, and learning his backstory. Why would we be learning that in the finale unless it mattered? So now I have to show you his motive, because we don't know his motive. Even if you were able to shock us, and I understand it's a very hard job to write mystery on TV, because there's people on
In
Reddit literally pouring over
in eight
everything.
episodes. Yep.
Yes, it's very hard to do. But what people want you to do is to give them an answer that they could have guessed even if they did not have guessed it. However, because of what we've been shown, nobody could have guessed that that guy's not in jail, because after you try to shoot the president, they all rush him. We know he's not just like walking along the street. So we know he got arrested. So we're not thinking about him as a suspect, but he just happens to end up, he ends up in jail. He breaks out of jail, and it's like, as you're showing us that, now we know the answer, but now we're not like, I wasn't interested in the backstory of this character at all, and so
And then the diner girl with the cheese fries.
yeah, I didn't care about none of that at
Didn't
all.
care.
And now you get to the end, and now you have your dramatic scene where they're up on the roof and they've got him cornered, and yeah, it's clear as soon as they got up there, I said, Monique, he's going to commit suicide. He's not going to be captured. He's going to jump down. But that is the final dramatic sequence of the season, and it means nothing because we have no stakes in that character. We don't care about that character, and so I thought that aspect of it was a cheap trick, and it didn't really work for me. But I also just felt like that was my main beef. That was my main. It was like, okay, we built up to this thing, and
Mhm.
now you just introduce new character right here so that we can put the crime on him. Sinatra's not implicated, but that wasn't my only issue with the episode. How did Jane know how the timing of everything was going to work out? So
Oh,
Jane,
hold on.
Ja
Hold
go
on.
ahead.
Can we hold on? Because me and you might be the only people that were either willing to talk about it out loud of just before we get to the Jane part of it, because you cooking. Were we the only ones that weren't all the way in? Again,
Some of
I
y'all love
don't.
this, so we need to hear from y'all.
I don't have to criticize the show in this aspect overall because I genuinely didn't care to begin with. I told you by episode 4, okay, well, Cal is dead. Whoever did it, guys, if we never, like, if the show ended and we never found out, I'd have been like, shit, all right, well, somebody's going to slip up and accidentally implicate themselves, and I was cool with that. That was such a subplot of the story that it didn't really matter to me. But then they kind of like felt like they had to answer it, and I felt like the showrunners and the writers weren't really given a chance. And I'm like, so y'all were forced to like do this thing, and then you honored the fact that the audience was, oh, you don't remember who I am, do you? Well, of course Sterling Xavier doesn't remember who you are. We also don't remember who you are. Of course we don't know who you are. No, we don't know who you are. You changed, you put on a thing, you snuck into the bunker, we saw you get attacked after you did, you shot the president for like 1.5 milliseconds. Xavier was shot at that time. Yeah, you were a librarian at some point, but your head was down. No one ever really kind of, they gave you the flashback with Marsden, but like we didn't see that until episode 8. So it was just very much like I could have done without this. I could have done without it. And I want to celebrate though that the sigh of relief that I let out after the cold open when they were like, "Oh, he tried to kill him the first time." I love that. Can I say this again? I loved that because that
Same.
was never a question, but when they showed it and how they built up to it, I was like, "You know what? Yes, tell me how." You know why that worked? Because Sterling got shot. Our main character got shot because of that man. So that mattered. I was like, oh, dang, I didn't even think about that. Like, damn, how did I not even like consider who shot my guy Xavier in the first place? Y'all, I was just thinking about the fact that he saved the president and that's why they besties. But who did it? That was important to me. But then they used the guy again. Oh, I snuck into the bunker. Oh, you don't recognize me? No, I
I
don't.
start to like it here. I was building a life, like I was like, I don't care though. Like I
I
literally
don't
don't care.
care that you started to build a life and that you tried to save a black man. I don't care. I don't care about that. I don't know who you are. I don't know what. Oh, where's my name? Maggie from the diner. Oh, I feel so stupid that I'm just eating a donut here. Girl, I would be eating a donut if the end world was ending as well. I didn't relate. I'm like, that's not anything to be sad about. What the fuck else are you gonna do? Of course you'd be sitting and eating a donut listening to some music. What else are you gonna do? A tsunami's coming and it's gonna kill everyone. You might as well eat your donuts and have a good time, right? Diner in the Dash, talk to me.
Well, I'm gonna try to defend the episode a little bit, I guess.
Okay, yeah, please.
So I was open to the idea of it being an unknown quantity. Well, because I agreed with you with what you said, like who actually killed the president was not the most pressing question that I had
Right,
for most of the season after the pilot.
exactly.
Um, and they had been building to so much else going on with the world that this was just kind of okay. It's someone that wasn't in paradise, so this is just the next step.
Right.
Um,
Very much just
so
like, let's get
someone
to season 2.
from
Yeah.
outside, so someone from the outside. We know there are survivors from the outside, like including Xavier's wife. So
Yep.
one of them somehow got into paradise, killed the president. Like that's cool. I can live with that. I still think Sinatra's pretty evil, but maybe she didn't kill the president. Whatever.
Whatever.
Um, and I actually thought the cold open aside, where they sort of link that person to the killing. I thought the story with the workers and bringing the working class into it was actually
Yes,
done pretty well. Like
I
that
agree.
part of it, like they're in, like it sort of explained that they didn't ask any questions because they were getting paid really well.
Yeah.
And until this guy sort of has questions. The one part that I agree is also disappointing. Like they should have kept him as an outsider, not someone who like ended up being the fucking librarian, and then it's like his sidekick, the diner owner. Not to forsake my own name, but like
Right.
that was a little disappointing.
I'm
That
like,
that's just
this is the duo that took my guy down.
yeah.
Okay.
But I thought like the story between the workers and between like was Sam his name or his
Adam.
what was the guy or Adam, yeah, Adam.
Adam.
Mhm.
Not
Our
like
guy Adam. I cared
yeah,
about Adam too, Diner in the Dash. I
yeah. So
also cared
they
about,
off that. So I mean it was obviously like closing or like the crescendo after the high point that was episode 7, but
yeah.
I still kind of I enjoyed most of it. So yeah.
I think I'm glad that you brought up the workers because I enjoyed that too. I just didn't want it to be so like quickly linked to like the solution. And I was like, I feel like I already know like what happened here. But I like that you brought up the workers because remember, guys, we didn't even bring it up, but the scientist storyline was kind of impressive, right? Like it showed how powerful Sinatra was, how much money she had. We even got a little bit of her and her husband and how they met. Like I really liked everything that they were doing. And so to finally put the guy who was kind of just hired to build the utopia, right, to build the bunker, also put him in a place of evil to say, ugh, I don't know, guys, just let them die of poisoning, okay? Like, I liked that. I'm like, okay, see, back to my point earlier of a lot of these post-apocalyptic shows are usually centering how the working class work together to like fight against all of the resources that are against them and all of the elite, kind of pushing them down and like establishing the hierarchy and how they persevered, right? And so I'm glad that they brought that working class back in to say like the only reason all of you were in this paradise is because people died of like whatever, poisoning during excavation to do that. That's a hard hitting story. But then you tell me that he has vengeance and he like connected with the diner as a librarian and snuck in and I'm just like, "Mm, okay. Can we get back to Sterling and finding his wife and Sinatra getting healed because she got lit up? That's my thing. Yassine Bey, were me and Tej the only ones that kind of like weren't the biggest fans of that storyline specifically, not the episode as a whole. But like, were
No,
you into it? Did you like it?
so the only thing I liked was what Teach said, which is in the very beginning, where they expand upon the initial shooting of the president, because that was a part of the story
The
that we
cold
didn't really
open, yeah.
give much thought to. And then you're going like, wow, that was something that the backstory that I wasn't really expecting them to touch on, but that was really interesting. Now we're going into an area where, like Teach said, you're, and I agree with you, the most pressing point of the storyline was not to meet Cal's murder. But if you're going to make that more important, and if you're going to reveal it, what you kill me when you make it someone who's not a part of the main storyline, because now it could be anyone. It's like it's almost like The Simpsons, where who shot Mr. Burns. It's like the guy's dog steps on a gun and shoots the pres. There wasn't the kind of emotional payoff that I felt needed to be. The one thing I did like about the episode was earlier in the season, Sterling is Xavier Sterling, same guy. He's in the diner and he says he wants to feel the sun on his face, the real sun. And
Yeah.
then the end of the episode is him. He's in the cockpit and the doors are opening and he feels the sun. So that
Mhm.
was a kind of nice bow.
Very nice touch. Yeah.
But like
Everything is
Diner,
a romance.
everything's a romance, and with him it was the sun, the world. Like
And
Diner in
going
the
to get his
chat,
wife.
going to get his God, which he never should have let her go in the first place. But like, but like Diner in the chat mentioned also, this felt like, well, let me hit on a bullet point it. This episode bothered me for a lot of reasons. One of them was it felt like they had two or three episodes that they had to condense into one. They kind of wrapped it up too quick, or maybe they felt like they had two episodes to write it, and as they were writing it, they realized they didn't, so they had to kind of put things into it and condense a lot of stuff. Like Tej brought up, you might talk about in a minute. How did Jane know when and where? How did she know to be where at the right time? She's a maniac, by the way, killing somebody over a Wii. Uh, but what really bothered me um, was it was nice to see the workers get that expose. The working, it in some ways it could be a trope, but it's a good one of showing how the working class people suffer at the hands of the elite, and
Yep.
what they have to go through for the elitists to get what they want, and how much we have to suffer. But I didn't like the racial trope of, hey, try the fufu and a goosey. You're my best friend. I found your. It is kind of a
Enough.
tired.
Yeah.
It's trauma porn, right? Like we don't need
Enough.
12 years. It's enough. We you don't have
We
to
get
make
it.
you don't have to make a mini buddy film. You're white, I'm black. Oh my god, I never knew that you had a different culture than mine. How crazy. Isn't that amazing? We're so different, yet so alike.
There's so much spice here.
Oh my,
I said,
and
all right, guys, let's
I was
wrap
waiting
this
for the
up.
white guy to go, Spice, what is that?
I said, all right, let's wrap it up. Let's
Wrap it
wrap it
up.
up.
Oh
Robert,
god.
my who done it king. Are we hurting your feelings? Are we going too far? How did you feel about the finale?
No, I mean you're not hurting my feelings. I enjoyed the last episode. Like I said, it's one of the rare shows that wraps up every major question
Yep.
that I had about the show, and or some lingering answers that I needed. Then they were teasing, a season two for new possibilities and new storylines. Now that we got all this other stuff out the way,
Out the way.
now we can probably get to the meat of the story, or the soul of the story. So I feel
Yes.
like this was a lot of necessary setup, and they answered all the questions. Now they can go into new uncharted territory, which would be fun.
Which is really like kind of metaphoric, right? Like we're going into new uncharted territory, which is just the other part of the world that we were told, right, was like all underwater.
Mhm.
And that's where we got those moments. Like I think that's the flashbacks like you said, the meat and potatoes of everything, or the meat of everything that we're really going to get in season 2 is when he was like, they're lying to us. Like that's
Mhm.
the real story, not killing Cal, my guy, my beautiful man. It's these people are lying to you. I'm invested in Cal's son being some sort of, making his dad a martyr in a way, and like being the kind of uprising and the leader for all these people to be like, hey man, we got to get back out of this paradise and see what's going on. Like if Xavier's going to find his wifey, that means I can maybe find my high school sweetheart. Maybe my mom is okay. Maybe my ex-husband or what, like I don't know. Maybe some of my people are okay. That in episode 7 where she was like, "Oh, please get my boy Eddie or whatever." I want to, you remember she was telling Xavier to save the boy or whatever? Do y'all remember? The lady
Yeah.
in the White House. I'm
Hmm.
like, bring her back too. Let's see if her son or her man or somebody was able to kind of, cook. So, yeah, I enjoyed the episode from a perspective of preparing us for season two. And I was able to enjoy it because, but I really wanted to hear from people that specifically wanted an answer for Cal's death and how they really felt about that. Robert, go ahead.
Now I got one last thing to say. This might be a deep cut, but I feel like this show might be a prequel to the movie Waterworld. I don't know if anybody remembers that movie, but this just if you know the movie Waterworld, which is one of the biggest flops of all time in cinema history, it's one of those things where I feel like they could redeem that movie with a premise like that. So I don't know. That's my conspiracy theory right now. That Dan
Okay.
Fogelman is a huge Waterworld fan, and this is what he's trying to do to redeem the movie.
I love that. This is what we watch. Thank you so much. Tej, I'll let one more hashtag gripe guy come out with the Jane thing because I'm with you. I don't know. I think it was Justine Bennett said earlier. She didn't kill anyone over a weed. No one died. But she got to play her weed because Sinatra survived and all of his kids were okay. So technically, no one died over the weed. But, so I just want to be clear with the dialogue. I just want to be very clear, guys. I'm walking through the dialogue. You are of no use to me dead. That's what she said. That is what Jane said to Sinatra. Tej, am I wrong?
No, that's what she said.
That's what she said. So you mean to tell me that Jane is such a precise, brilliant assassin? I gotta know more about Jane. So Jane texted Sinatra and said the problem has been eliminated, knowing that Sinatra said not to eliminate it, knowing how Sinatra would read that, knowing that as soon as Xavier pulled up on Sinatra, that Sinatra would probably be shot dead right there, and that he's also not a dummy because he's been cooking for like the last 7 episodes. Hello. And so she knew all of this was going to happen to the minute, to the second. Like she calculated, she was like, I already know Xavier going to be here at 2:03 p.m. About 2:05, he going to have his moments. And then at 2:06 when I'm going to show up. Just before Sinatra gets killed. I,
She also has to know that Xavier's going to shoot the men before she shoots Sinatra, and that Xavier's going to pause before she shoots Sinatra. Like he could
I'm
have just
telling you,
shot
she
all three of
knew.
them in the same. Like she knew all that.
She knew all of that. Was you not understand? She knew 2:03, 2:04, 2:05, 2:06, 2:07. She knew when to pull up. She knew exactly when to pull up. She knew when to leave Presley so that Presley felt comfortable and like because she had to also get away from Presley. My girl Presley has been established as a very intelligent young girl here. Her dad has empowered her to be mature, aware, brave, courageous, all of that stuff. So she trusted Jane, and then Jane had to plan to the T, to the timing, to be like, hey, Presley, by the way, okay, cool. We had a good time. I'll be back later, okay? Preston didn't answer no questions. She accounted for all of the facts that Preston might have had some questions. And then she went and she didn't maim, you know, Xavier. She shot at Sinatra, which also, you don't
She
know
didn't
that if
shoot at Sinatra. She shot the
she
fuck out
shot,
of
yeah.
Sinatra.
Well, I'm saying she shot Sinatra. What I'm saying is, I just want you to know, because you said it earlier, you said you would have been killed Sinatra. I want you to know that if I'm about to shoot someone and you shoot them, that doesn't guarantee that I won't. I might shoot them
Yeah,
right after.
I might still shoot them.
What are
Like
you
I
talking
still gotta
about?
get my shit off.
I still gotta get my shit off. You low key just pissed me off even more because that was my kill. And I'm like, no, hold on. That forensics gonna show that it might have been my bullet. So, geez, feel free. Like what? Like yeah, talk about that. Yeah.
It's another to get a thrill. Like, oh my god, we thought Sinatra was dead, but now she's not dead, and actually Jane's controlling this the whole time. It's like, okay, I understand why you did that because it's a thrilling conclusion to the episode, right? It's like, oh my god, I thought Sinatra was dead, but then she wasn't dead. Like that's
You're of no
objectively,
use to me dead. But okay,
yeah.
then why
But
did
then
you
it's
let
like
this
that.
happen like this?
Jane is just a mastermind who's like the equalizer. She knows exactly what time everything's gonna
Yeah.
happen. Like it's just I find that to be weird. I feel like we could have made it less convoluted and just had her at the spot the whole time. Because
Yep.
what if Sinatra is like any other human in the world and is not going to admit to the person whose daughter that she just had killed by mistake that the daughter's dead? I'm gonna say, oh, she right over there. Like, let's go get her together. Like, I'm gonna buy myself some time. But she knew Sinatra was just gonna. I'm sorry, I didn't expect to go this far. Like, how did you know that that was gonna happen? If Sinatra was a normal person, she'd be like, I just saw her. She's good. She's over there eating snacks. Like, go check her out. Like, and I'm gonna run away. Like, I don't understand how Jane knew how it was gonna go.
How did Jane know, Jess? How did she know? You're of no use to me, Dad. Well, you cut it pretty close, my girl. You cut it
Extremely close.
pretty close. Okay. And I'm still in the hospital for the next couple weeks because you shot me in the throat. Where did she get shot? That was unclear.
It was
Jess,
either the chest or the throat somewhere.
Jess, how did Jane know?
I mean, she knew because Sinatra put her in a position to know, right? I think she's of no use to her dead because she now knows where all the bodies are buried. And, like she said in episode 3 or 4, like she's the biggest gun that they have in quote unquote paradise,
Yeah, because
right?
she
Like
is a mastermind. Has to be.
she has to be, right? She has to be. She's got me looking at my Nintendo Switch different. Like I understand that like no one died for a Wii, but like that scene of her playing tennis or whatever that was that she was playing, I like listen,
That
I'm
was a
looking forward
chilling
to the
little
second
quick.
season. I was concerned. I was concerned. Okay, clearly she's not well. Clearly she's not well. But she's also equipped for murder and I'm concerned, right? I do think wherever she shot Sinatra, it was strategic, it was tactical because I'll walk you through the whole quote. Mo, she said,
Yeah.
"You're in for a long recovery. You're no use to me dead. Probably should have just gave me the we." Right? So
Right.
I think she shot her in a place that was very purposeful, so
Yep.
that she would not die but would be incapacitated, for whatever reason, right? Like
But
when
but
when
but
we
she
get season
knew
two, we'll
the
see.
exact time to pull up, Jess. Right. This was a gamble. Right. Like, do you disagree that this was a gamble, or do you genuinely think she's the equalizer?
I mean, I think it's a gamble in a way that when you write a TV show, it was going to be a gamble, right? Because what she was banking on was the double bluff of I killed her, so now
Yeah.
you're in big trouble, right?
Okay.
Xavier's gonna blow your brains out.
But
Um,
I'm gonna save you right before.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, right? So it was the double bluff, and she came in right on time because again we're watching a television show, um, an
Oh, she was
amazing
right on
one.
time.
Like I am impressed. Like my only real take on this show truly is Sterling K. Brown has officially become one of the guys that when I see him on the call sheet, I'm watching. I'm
It's
watching.
called. I'll completely support this. It's called being a movie star. Okay, people. I'm
Absolutely.
tired of people saying movie stars are dead. I want you to look at Sterling K. Brown dead in the face. Okay, they're not. If
Yeah.
Sterling
No.
K. Brown is in it, I'm watching it.
I'm
Period.
watching like he did his biggest one with this. Okay, I was
Hello.
impressed when I was hearing the murmurs around. Is anybody watching Paradise? What's going on with Paradise? What's happening? And then I see like the promo and it's just Sterling. I said, oh okay, I get it. Like let me tap in. Let me tap all
And
the way in. And I'm glad that I did. I thought this show was great. There were a lot of theories about who killed Cal. Um,
didn't
and
care about
I
none of
like
them.
listen, the pen is on fire in the writing room because people thought, oh, was it the woman that he left that was just trying to save her sick child?
Yeah.
Did somebody break in? Did his wife find them? And like, what's really going on?
Right.
For it to be the librarian and the waitress is crazy. That's
Child.
crazy.
Let me
That's
tell you something.
my mind was blown.
Sterling K. Brown is one of them ones. And I just want to shout out to Sterling K. Brown and Dan Fogelman because let me tell you something, and you will not minimize this. I got to see his ass in a shower, wet, being intimate for a reason. They know what's going on. They
They
know
know
what I
what they're
like to
doing.
see. They
They know
know
what
what I
they're
like to
doing. They know
see.
what they're doing. Listen.
Sterling, no, he fine as hell. He knows I'm just a woman, temptation of the flesh. I'm just a
We gotta
human
give
being.
some props to the therapist too. That's a sexy woman. That
She
therapist is
is
very
very
sexy.
sexy, but I was not, during that scene, TJ. I was obviously
Well,
looking.
I was looking at the therapist.
I
No
was
disrespect to
looking
Sterling.
at Sterling, motherfucking K Brown. Sterling K Brown. Love me some you. Thank you for doing that scene. Everyone involved in making sure that scene was in that. I appreciate that because I ain't gonna lie to you. This is what we watch, and we're gonna wrap this up. But I will admit why I watched this show. Someone posted a clip of him with the therapist in the shower. And I said, oh,
Oh my lord!
I won't lie to you today. This is what we watch. Happy we watch. I saw that clip and I said, oh, well, let me just take a peek and see what's going on here. I just want to see. I just want to see what's going on. I was going to watch it, but I had put it, because I'm watching The Wire, I'm watching Severance, I'm watching Daredevil now, I'm watching Invincible. I was like,
The
I'm going to
White
get
Lotus.
The White Lotus. I was like, I'm going to get to Paradise on a quiet weekend. I'm traveling a lot, I'm working a lot, building this brand for us. We have a home, guys. I'm building it. It's going to be great. But when I tell you, they posted that clip, I said, let me go ahead and, I said, Teej, we can do Severance another time. I have something to watch now. I just want to make sure that I'm able to see, and I sure did. I can tell you exactly the timestamp of that one. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to, expose myself too much. But I watched. I said, when is this scene going to come up? That was really my first couple of episodes. I was like, when am I getting this scene? And then I said, I said, let me pause here. I said, this is good. So thank you so much. Thank you, Sterling K. Brown, for your beautiful self. Your beautiful talent. Thank you so much for being such a great talent. Dan Fogelman, thank you for giving us this amazing season 1. I'm ready for them to let you cook in season 2. I'm ready for them to let Dan Fogelman get in his Taylor Sheridan. I get however many episodes and however many TV shows. Let Sterling K. Brown and Dan Fogelman cook. This is what we watch. Happy Wednesday. We'll be back next week. Can't wait for our season 2 chat. We'll be back next week with Severance and Invincible again. Ciao.